Test. Okay. Getting a little bit faster at that. Anyway, welcome, hello, and welcome to Lesson Learned, a conversation about Mythocraft. I am Corey Griffin,
And I'm Joey Hosmer.
and today we're going to be talking about the Dragonfolk lineage for Mythcraft.
That's right.
All right.
Are we both listening to the same song at the same time and there's no music at the same time? Oh, I can't hear you. Hang on, guys. We're having some technical difficulties here. I've been not paying attention, trying to listen for Corey, and I don't hear him. Does anybody else? I don't. Yeah, stream doesn't hear you either.
Test. Test.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
I hear you. Yeah. And Corey's back.
And I'm back. All right, guys. So we are talking about the Dragonfolk today. Um, you know, the Dragonfolk coloration can vary kind of widely, right? A lot of them are scaled in reds, blues, purples, stuff like that. Um, some are more metallic or gemstone like with their scales, like copper, gold, crystalline, or even rusted. A lot of them could be like multicolored or things like that. In Mythcraft, just like true dragons, dragonfolks have horns, spines, frills, tails, and some of them even wings. They're as varied in appearance as their colorations are. You know, they're sized as medium. Their height is anywhere for mature dragon folk from like 5'10" to like 6'8", so smaller than Usiri.
That's most things, though.
That's true.
Most things.
That's very true. Their weight is 190 to like 300. Again, smaller than Usiri.
I don't even need to say it again this time.
That's true. The lifespan of a dragonfolk, they are a longer living lineage.
A lot longer than Usuri.
That's also true. Reaching maturity around the age of 26 with a lifespan of roughly 200 years. So it takes them about twice as long to get old as Usuri, but they live for about, 9 times longer.
It's 4 times longer, thank you. Which still in and of itself is not that long.
Yeah. Some other interesting things about Dragonfolk is they hold other draconic offspring, such as like drakes or werevins, things like that, in the highest regard possible. Some even treat them as like divine beings. You know, I myself have not played too many Dragonfolk in Mythcraft. I've seen lots of builds for them, and I think they can bring a lot of flavor and a lot of fun to it. But like I said, I myself have not played one.
Yeah, I haven't played one either. I did make a build for just for this video because I got to looking at all the information, and it's the dragon folk lineage feats that like really got me like excited. So I ended up building. Well, I say build. I came up with a character concept for a dragon folk.
As we were prepping for the video, I came up with two.
I'm sure one up me. Why don't you?
I mean, I can, but that wasn't the intent.
Right.
It wasn't. Anyway, so I don't think we went over a great way of talking about it last week. Um, when we're talking about lineage features, you get some of them right away at level 1, and then you get some more at later levels that are defined. Um, most of them, most of the lineage, unless it has a sub lineage, you'll be able to choose one from the second table that we'll talk about. Otherwise, if it does have a sub lineage, you end up with more features at level 1, but they might not be as powerful. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's kind of that back and forth kind of.
Like if I'm not mistaken, Klepin's a pretty good example of that because there's different sub lineages for that, isn't there?
No, Kleppen does not have sub lineage.
Okay. Shows what I know. But that's why I'm here on Lesson Learned. Stay tuned for the Klepin feature.
Yeah, so Kleppen will be a couple weeks from now, but and no, some of the ones that come to mind that have sub lineages are dwarves, elves, elementals, golems in a way. But anyway, we're getting a little distracted here.
Yeah.
But for the dragon folk, they do not. So you want to talk about the first feature that you get at level 1?
Yeah. So at level 1, you actually get 3 features that you get automatically for just being dragon folk. The first one is buffer fall. So when falling, you can slow the descent and angle of your fall. For every 30 feet that you fall, you only take 1d4 damage. And then for every 10 feet that you fall, you can actually move 5 foot horizontally, which is kind of neat. It's kind of like a glide in a sense, except you're falling with style. I don't know. Can we say that? Are we allowed to say that?
Leave it there. Leave it
We said that.
there.
The second thing that you get is fire breath, because who doesn't love a dragon with fire breath? Or dragon folk in this particular instance. Once per recoup, you can spend 3 AP to exhale a cone of fire and sear the creatures around you. You make an endurance attack versus the fortitude of each creature within that 15-foot cone, and you do 2d6 fire damage that you hit and half as much damage to creatures that you miss, which is cool because you can at least always do damage using it. It's pretty, and you roll high enough and it's gonna hurt some. And then the last one you get, well, then the last thing you get is unique feature, which allows you to pick one of the features that we're about to talk about from our second table, and you also get that. So that's kind of cool because that's where you get the different flavors. We'll go over what those are, but it's one of those things like we've talked about where there's an infinite amount of combos you can have for a character, or for any character. This is one of those where, oh, I want to have this style. Okay, I'll go this way. Oh, I want to buff this part of my character. All right, I'm going to go this way. Oh, I want to be able to do this, so I'm going to go this way. This is where you can kind of start that. So it'd be neat.
Yeah. So the rest of these Dragonfolk features, you get one at level 1 from the unique feature, and then you gain another one at level 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 29. Again, Mythcraft is a game that caps out at level 30, not uh, lower levels like other games. But yeah.
Real quick before we jump into the second table, does anybody have any quick questions for us? All right. Well, if there's no questions, Corey, do you want to go ahead and jump on these
Yeah.
lineages or these other features we can get?
Yeah, so the one of the first ones that you can select is called Cold Blooded. That it gives you suffer tactical disadvantage while in Arctic environments or in any environment with below freezing temperatures. But you gain tactical advantage in a desert or jungle environment as well as any other environment.
That's all right, Dana. We'll grab it.
Uh,
We'll finish talking about cold blooded, and then we'll talk about that.
yeah. Um, as well as any other environment that exceeds uh, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Additionally, gain +1 fortitude.
It's kind of cool, but it's super niche. Like, sure, if we were playing in Texas, I'm all over that. But I don't know, man. I feel like everybody ends up in the snow at some point. Uh, I don't know about all that.
Straight +1 fortitude. That is not tied into your environment.
True, there is a period there. So
It's a
you're
comma,
right.
but yes.
No, the period between Fahrenheit where it says
Yes,
additionally,
yes.
that's the
Yep.
separation there. So you're right. You're right.
You
So
know.
you automatically just get a +1 to fortitude. Then you have TA if you're in desert or jungle environments,
Right.
or any environment that exceeds 80 degrees Fahrenheit.
So
DM, what's the or sorry, MC, what's the temperature outside today?
listen,
79. Well, I'm
I
gonna
can.
stay inside.
Well, okay. So it, you only get TD while it's freezing.
Yeah, but you don't
Right.
get the TA unless you're in a jungle, desert, or above. Like, imagine being in the city and it's
Mm-hmm.
79 degrees outside. And you're like, oh, I guess I'm not going to get my TA today.
Yeah.
Dang, sun's behind some clouds.
You know, but again, they gave us this super situational thing
Yeah.
with something that is just universally
Yeah. And
beneficial.
then, here's a +1 in fortitude.
Right. So
So,
for
fair
me,
enough. Fair
the
enough.
part that I like the most out of this is not the super niche worrying about the temperature bit. It's that +1 to fortitude.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of abilities that are fortitude per rest. So that's
Yeah.
an
Fair
extra time that
enough.
you get to use those abilities.
Fair enough. All right, so to answer Dana's question, Dana had a good question. Was does the damage for the breath weapon have to be fire? Per rules is written, technically speaking, yes. However, just talk to your GM. Your
Talk
GM's
to your
probably
MC.
gonna, yeah, MC, GM, game master. Um, just talk to whoever's leading your table, and I'm sure they'll let you flavor it however you want to flavor it within reason, obviously. And I
Right.
want to do 2d6 cosmic damage.
So for me personally, I probably would not mind it if someone wanted to change it to like I want to use the right term. So give me a half second. If they
Half second.
wanted to change it to another elemental damage, I probably wouldn't mind. But rules is written, it is fire, which of the elemental types does have some fun interactions, especially with overcoming resistances and stuff like that. So, like, mathematically, fire might be the best. Flavor wise, talk with your MZ, but a lot of structures, specifically as I'm thinking about it, have resist against everything but fire and low hit points. So that 2d6 breath weapon
On
might
a
be enough
door.
to destroy something.
Just explode a door.
A door, a catapult, a
Ooh.
ballista.
So many things are going through my brain right now for one of the features we'll talk about later. So many things.
But I think you get what I'm saying. Like, I flavor
Yes, you
wise,
could
definitely
flavor
talk with
it.
your MC.
Yeah.
If you want to do
But
an actual different damage type, talk to your MC. Personally, I probably wouldn't change it.
yeah, thematically you can probably do it. Mechanically, you're probably better off not doing it just because the way fire damage is structured for like interactivity. I just made that word up. I think,
Interacts.
yeah, the way that fire damage interacts with the game as a whole is probably where you're better off. Now, you could probably flavor it like it's blue flames. I don't see anything wrong with that.
I mean, we we flavored your great mace as an anchor.
Yeah, yeah. And actually,
So
if we're gonna go that far, the great mace isn't even a weapon. I don't think.
I don't remember what it was.
I think the way we flavored it, because we basically homebrewed a weapon to be a two-handed without being unwieldy that gives me this, called it a great mace, and then flavored the great mace as an anchor. So we kind of homebrewed the great mace in itself, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you are. Give me a minute.
Just pull up you series. No, I don't need to do that. I have weapons right here. Legend. Doo 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 boo. Yeah, no. Warhammer, Tonfa, Tetsubo, Quarterstaff, Nunchucks, Morningstar, Maul, Mace, Hammer, Flail, Club, Cestices, Brass Knuckles, Batons, Improvised Bludgeon Weapons, and Unarmed. There's no Great Mace on there. I made that up.
Huh. All right. But yeah,
I took the Flail stat block and
yeah,
made it
that's right.
so it's a solid head of the mace
That's
instead of
right.
the flail being on a chain.
It was the flail.
Yeah, it's a reskinned flail and then reskinned into an anchor.
But I guess that is just to say, like, anything can be reflavored as anything and it not mechanically hurt it. When it comes to changing the damage types, again, talk with your talk with your MC. The rules is written though. It is fire damage. You want to do the next one?
Yeah. So I can actually do the next couple because they're all kind of linked together if you want. All right. So the next couple that we have are based around amplifying your fire breath. So the first one we have is called Draconic Lungs. And what it does is you regain all expended uses of your fire breath when you do a catch your breath. Fire catch your breath. It's a mouthful. But so if we remember back from the first fire breath feature, it's one per recoup. With Draconic Lungs, it's now going to be one per catch your breath at your base grab, I guess. The next one after that is called Explosive. It increases the range of your cone attack by 15 feet, which I'm not sure about cones in Mythcraft, but that's an absolute monster of a cone in front of you. Like, absolute, like, that's a freaking huge cone. 15 feet is pretty pretty good chunk anyways. You make it a 30-foot cone and that's getting in like insane levels. Um and then you have the last one is called Hellfire, which is repeatable, which means you can take it more than once. Like we talked about, you get them at 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25, 29, and then obviously at level 1. You could take Hellfire for every single one of these, and it adds an additional 2d6 damage per. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 d6 damage if you took at 1, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 29. Ow.
Yeah.
I play 40k. 14 d6 is a lot of damage. That's a lot of d6s to roll. And then also keep in mind that when you roll, you either do full damage if you make the attack, or you're still only doing or you still do half damage if you miss the attack for anybody that's in that cone.
Yeah.
So 14d6 even halved is on average still an ouch a lot of damage.
Definitely. Definitely. So the next one that we have is Flameborn, which is endurance times per rest. By spending 1 AP, you gain fire affinity for 1 minute. What is fire affinity? So
What is
fire
fire
affinity,
affinity?
I'm gonna tell you. Anyway, when you have a affinity with any type of damage, you take half damage of that type of damage, and you deal additional +3 damage whenever you deal that type of damage. So that breath weapon, which I personally would not use all of it for all of my stuff for Hellfire. But I would use quite a few of them for Hellfire, depending on the build. For me, max level, it would end up being like 8d6 +3. But
That's still a lot of ouch.
that's still a lot of ouch. The next couple are also linked together. It's actually just a straight tree. The one that comes after it needs the one before it, and the last one also requires a couple other things. So the first one is Flutter Jump, which with your wingspan, you can jump higher than a normal creature. Your vertical jump distance is doubled. And I was wrong The next is when it starts getting
I
linked
wasn't gonna
together.
point it out. I was
I
gonna
was
point
saying,
it out.
yes, he was.
I was gonna point it out.
Um, Literally just doubling your vertical height. I mean, there's a lot of things that are like, can I jump up there? Can I jump up there if my stuff is twice what it normally is?
Yeah.
Probably.
Can you use your wings to kind of flutter you up? Is what that is essentially.
Pretty much.
Now, for us to talk about the ones that are linked together. So just like the fire breath ones we talked about, those are all linked together, but they're not dependent on another. The only requirement the fire breath ones had were fire breath. These are a little bit different. So these involve actually utilizing your wings for different movements. So, for instance, Dragonfolk flight gliding. The prerequisite for guiding is buffer fall, which is the one that you get when you're a Dragonfolk. So that one's a given prerequisite. So what glide does is you no longer take falling damage while you're using your wings instead of taking 1d4 per 30 feet. And then when you're falling, you can move 15 feet horizontally for every 10 feet that you fall. Back before, it was every 10 feet that you fall, you can move five. So now you're moving a lot more for a shorter distance. So you're getting a lot more of a glide out of it than you are just falling with style. I said it again.
I
After we have glide, we
I
have
just wanna step in here for a second. Um, no falling damage at all.
yeah, yeah, complete no falling damage. Can't tell you
And
how many times I've had a character in a TTRPG succumb to death from falling damage because I fell off a 500-foot cliff. Oops.
I mean, using that 500-foot example, you would glide 750 feet out.
Well, look at you mathing.
I mean, I, it's what I do, you know. But
But yeah,
sorry.
so no falling damage. No, no, no. It's good to point out. Like, I didn't honestly. I just kind of read over no falling damage, and it's like, oh yeah, cool, no falling damage. But then you think about it, and you're like, wait a minute, no falling damage. So that's kind of really good. So the dragon flight is what I have a build set up for. Was just going straight through flying, but I have reasons. So with that being said, the next step up is Dragon Folk Flight Hover, which requires that you took glide before. Um, so what hover is you can hover 5 feet over the ground and can remain 5 feet off the ground when you move for no additional AP. You cannot fly vertically. However, hover does take sufficient energy and focus, and so you cannot benefit from using flutter jump at the same time. So you're the ultimate winner at the floor is lava because you can just not touch the ground and hover over all the lava. But if you think about that, oh look, there's a destroyed bridge. At the bottom of the ravine is nothing but lava. Bye,
I
and
mean,
then just hover across.
well, you're not gonna hover across because that would be flying. You would go down to the 5 feet above the lava, and then have
Yeah,
to climb your way back up.
it does say remain 5 feet off the ground. So technically, if you changed elevation, you would have to fall down.
But you take no falling damage.
You do take no falling damage. I don't know. I would probably be generous.
I
And if there's
wouldn't.
a broken bridge, I would just let somebody hover across it.
I wouldn't.
Because it's not like it's a hover chair, right? Like a hover chair, like gravity wise, is like requiring something beneath it. You're literally using your wings to propel yourself up. Well,
Correct.
not up, but
You're using your wings to push air down and receive the backdraft to keep yourself up. which is why it's still above fighter.
Yeah. All right. That's why you're the MC. All right. So the next one after hover is soar. Soar is something that I like. It requires that you have taken hover, but it also requires that you are character level 15. Now, if I'm not mistaken and math it out, um, if you were to take your, obviously you'd have your first level. Um, at level 5, you could then take glide and then hover, but that would only be at level 10, so you'd have to wait until 15. But you can still go there.
You can do it faster because you get one of these features at level 1. So level 1's glide. Level
No, but the
5
prerequisite is level
buffer
15.
fall, not flutter jump. You get buffer fall as uh the starting feature.
No, but for soar it requires character level 15.
Correct. I'm just saying if you heavily focused on it, you would
Yeah,
get it.
you would, but you'd still just get it at 15. It all still works out in perfect order like it's supposed to.
Hey Kobe.
But you wouldn't. So don't get your hopes up and like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get soar as soon as it's gonna be 15. Which, depending on the game speed, it's really not that long. Um, it
Depends on who
can
your MC
be
is.
depending on who your MC is. I don't know. I think we're moving fairly fast in Tales of Yvard.
That was intentional.
Yeah,
I wanted you guys at a certain level for
yeah.
certain things.
Also, welcome, Doodley. Glad you can make it. Glad you could see all the shenanigans going on. This week, we are talking about the Dragon Folk lineage. We're about halfway through the additional Dragon Folk features, and then once we're done with that, we're probably going to talk about some character builds that Corey and I came up with. So we're gonna finish these up.
Halfway? Halfway? My dude, we have like 4 left.
And, okay, whatever. We're a little more than halfway.
Little.
A little more than halfway. So, anyways, so soar that you get at the next step, if you will, you gain a flying speed equal to your walking speed. So now, instead of just hovering along the ground at 5 feet above ground level,
Now you
technically
can
speaking,
now you
now
can go
you
ahead
can
and cross it.
vertically propel yourself through the sky.
And now
You
you
can be the
can
bird you want to be.
go across that ravine.
Yeah. But yeah,
No,
gaining
actually
flying
not.
speed equal to walking speed. And then the last one that's not really connected, but I want to talk about this one because this
It
is,
is also connected. Don't let
well,
anyone tell
it,
you
it
it's not.
is it is technically connected. Yes, it's connected because the prerequisite is soar. Um, so this is basically at level 20. If you did nothing but pump it into the I want to be a flying person, um, it you get so this next one is called strafe. So strafe is if you use your fire breath, you can choose to spend 4 AP to make a strafing attack. So fire breath is 3 AP. Strafing is it additional 4 or just +1?
No, so
If I'm not mistaken, the way these would interact, because I've run into this with some other classes, this would just be 4 AP. So
this
you're
yeah.
activating your fire breath. You can
Uh-huh.
spend an additional AP that you would normally spend, and then you get to do strafe.
Yeah.
But so what it is you can spend that 4 AP. For this attack, you can move in a 30-foot line and make an endurance attack versus the fortitude of each creature along that line, and you would deal your normal amount of fire breath damage. But you can be no more than 15 foot away from the surface of your strafing. So you can fly 15 feet. Like, in my head, I see you flying above this big tower wall. There's a bunch of chaos everywhere. And there's a bunch of guys lined up all
On the
along this
wall.
wall. You can make a 30-foot fly path over at least or maximum 15 foot over their heads and just literally light them all up.
Mhm. And this just
I love that.
and this
Want to
just
do it.
gets stronger with Hellfire.
Yeah. And then at that point, that's like I said, we said level 20. So if you wanted to at 25 and 29, you could pump Hellfire. So now you're doing 66 fire damage and this
In a 30
strafing run
in a 30-foot line.
in a 30-foot line,
Mhm.
which means which is kind of an additional to your regular movement speed. Like
Absolutely.
right off base, your movement speed is only 20. And I'm sure at these levels you probably have ways of increasing your speed. But with that being said, so not only are you moving 30 foot in a straight line, but you can still move
Yeah.
after that. You can still spend the AP to continue moving. It doesn't say that you can't, that there's a limit to it. So you could go
Well,
30 foot this way and then turn around. If you've got the AP, go 30 foot back the other way.
so there is a limit to it that you're not seeing. You have to use your instance of fire breath,
Fire breath.
and that only comes back on resting.
True.
So you could
True.
strafe out and then fly away
Yeah.
with your remaining AP,
True.
but
You
you
do
wouldn't be
only
able
get that
to
once.
strafe again.
Oh, that's not as cool as I thought. But can you imagine if you could buff your strafing or the amount of times you could do fire breath? Like if you could do it multiple times before rest,
Mhm.
and again, 30 foot this way, 30 foot back, that would be awesome.
That would be kind of fun.
I would do that a lot.
I think it would get extremely overpowered quickly.
I think you would figure out a way to stop it from happening as often.
I mean, don't put everybody in a line. Just like monsters know what they're doing, guys. All right, we got two more, and I'm gonna take over for him. So the first one that is left is tail swipe, and that is using the trip maneuver only costs 1 AP for you. So give me just a moment because I thought I had
One.
this page open, but I don't. I said a moment, not a minute.
It's been a moment. It's been multiple moments.
Mm-hmm.
Do do
Mm-hmm.
do 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 do. That's not copyright, is it?
I
No
think
way,
it
that's
is.
copyright. Ha, ha,
Okay.
ha, ha.
So what the trip is normally it costs 2 AP. That is, make an attack against a creature using your strength and targeting their reflex. If you hit, the creature falls prone. And there's fun things that happen when enemies are prone, especially if we'll get into it. And then the last of the Dragon Folk features that are in the books as of yet is tough scales. When you are not wearing armor, your AR base is 13, which is nice. It's just a slightly better mage armor.
Yeah, this is a part of the build that I have, um, only because of the track that I'm going down.
Okay.
I could probably do something else with the track, but taking this leaves me open to doing some more stuff with the class track.
Okay. So, do you want me to talk about one that I made? Sort of
Yeah,
how was taking my features.
yeah, you take one, I'll do one, and then you could do your last one if we still have time.
Okay. So the one I want to talk about, I have two. I have my warrior and I have my mage. I'm going to talk about my mage first.
Go figure.
So surprising, probably nobody. I the mage was quite easy for me to me to build. The very first one that I took was Flameborn to give myself affinity and then do more fire damage with fire based cantrips.
Solid. Welcome in, Klaus. We're talking
The
about character builds that we have come up with for Dragonfolk.
after that at level 5 I grabbed Cold Blooded for that increase in fortitude. I told you like the first half of it I don't particularly care about. I wanted that increase the
Yeah,
fortitude because of other things that were made better with having a higher fortitude. After that, for the next 4 levels, I do go glide, or next 3 levels, I do go glide, hover, soar. Because a flying mage, yes, like a flying mage that can do lots of fire damage, other ways, right? I'm not necessarily using. I did not take strafe. I ended up grabbing tough scales and then hellfire to round everything out.
fair.
I've already got plenty of range from different things in the mage for that. I just wanted free flight,
No,
I,
absolutely.
and again, not taking falling damage is
Yeah,
important, you know. But for the most part, he's just flying around, activating fire affinity, and starting to blast.
so, anyways, I started blasting.
Pretty much. Grab a wand that does fire damage and go to town.
Yeah,
You didn't
that's
think about that, did you?
what, grabbing a wand?
Grabbing weapons that do fire damage,
Oh, no, I
and
didn't think
then
about that, but
because then each instance of damage gets a +3,
yeah, no, that's fair. You're not
right? So
wrong.
you could grab a flame blade if you wanted to go. Never mind. That's my second build.
Oh, he's spoiling it. Spoiled it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, so mine is both something that I haven't really played or had a concept for, in addition to that it plays into the theme of kind of how dragon folk feel about themselves. They're very let me find the right word here. They promote matters of self improvement and exemplify beauty of inner self in all things physical and intellectual. I'm reading into a little bit of the culture there. But for me, thematically, I read that and immediately think I want my dragon folk to be a pugilist. So I put together a little bit of a pugilist. Um, and so really what I ended up going with was for, so correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm a first level adventurer, I also get to take a talent, correct?
Yes, you get one specialized
So
talent.
the one that immediately jumped out to me is something that I want because of what I have envisioned for this class is human shield. Because as a pugilist, I'm my idea for this is doing nothing but grappling everybody. Okay, so with human shield, if you're grappling a target, you get +2 to all of your physical defenses. Thinking about that now with the number of times that Usuri has grappled somebody and just held on to them, I'm kicking myself for not having human shield.
I don't use it as much as if Luna was a player character as I would, but pugilists have an auto grapple if they hit. So,
Exactly. Exactly my point that I'm going with here. And so I have human shield, and then let me come back over here. One of the or a couple of the things that I would take is um, I would have glide, hover, soar. I'm not gonna take strafe for this character, but I would take the three flying. Now that I'm thinking about it, would probably take flutter jump too for no fall damage. That's pretty
now
important.
the no falling damage comes from glide.
You're right. Not flutter jump. Flutter jump is the vertical distance. So yes. So glide, hover, soar. Um, tough scales, because I feel like tough scales will help me out, especially in the beginning.
Yeah. So if you started with tough scales, I think it might be worth it. A lot of pugilist things, their class tracks give you some of the replace your AR with this other defense.
Right.
So I think it loses its potency very early for a pugilist.
Sort of, kind of, with the brief stint that I ran through the different tracks. I was really looking at the martial arts track, of which I wanted to really focus on some of the stances. None of which were the you get benefits for these, but you lose out on this. You can't go above that, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then I would probably throw tail swipe in there too, because why not knock a bunch of people prone for cheaper AP?
Yeah.
But to talk about
So the thing about, just to go back to what I was talking about before, even the martial arts track, it gives you impulse, which allows you to use your awareness instead of your AR.
right, but I
That's
don't
why I was like,
necessarily need to. Which one is it that gives you? Yeah, predict a punch. Oh, so you actually gain that on class entry.
yeah,
Okay, so
on entering it. So like you
yeah,
cannot do anything in this class track without grabbing that. So
yeah, that's fair.
it's
So I might
one
end up
way. Go ahead.
I might end up not doing tough scales then,
Mhm.
just and then take probably Hellfire
Yeah.
or Cold Blooded for the +1 in Fortitude. Because now that I'm thinking about it, that's pretty good. But yeah,
It
so
gets even better if before you grab predict a punch, you go down to, I believe it's the pummeling track, and grab. No, it's not pummeling. It might be pummeling.
or wrestling. Wrestling is evasive.
Yeah, that's reflex.
Pummeling is tough. Wrestling is evasive.
But what
Martial
tough does
arts, huh?
is let you use fortitude for defense,
Yeah,
and you're getting that +1 to fortitude.
yeah. So you would have naturally a +2 to your fortitude if you had both cold blooded and
Take the
the
punch.
entry for pummeling.
Yeah,
So
and whatever you have in fortitude, which you're gonna want some fortitude as a frontline grappler.
yeah, yeah,
So
you would want to have some
eventually
bit
you're
of
gonna have to
strength.
take more of the tough talents, because the way tough works is it does cap you out at
Yep.
13, I believe, for
14 for
tough.
the first one, 18
Okay,
for the second one.
but yeah, it would cap you out at 14, but you would be capped at level 3. You'd be capped for tough at 3
Yeah.
with, if you go cold blooded first, then take a punch, because both of them give you that +1 to fortitude, and then move forward. But I am getting super geeky about, like, this might not be the optimal thing. I mean, it might not be, but this is why me and you would talk about
Yeah.
character builds a lot. It's
Oh yeah.
because I find the idiosyncrasies quite
List
well.
and lists and lists and lists of characters. But like I said too, this is also kind of fitting into a thematic
Mm-hmm.
role as well. I'm not trying to
No, Like,
I'm not min maxing.
no, but like,
I
there's
I'm just giving you crap.
you can min max and still have a fun build.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh, for
You
sure.
know, I
Um,
will point to my character on Mythcraft Legends. Absolutely a min max build, 100%. But he's a lot of fun to play. He fits into the world. He's a support character.
no. Now, how do stances work as far
I
as
do not
as
want to
far
answer
as
too many more questions about the pugilist class. It's
fair? Fair. My only question though is how do stances work outside of combat? So, for instance, you spend 3 AP, go into this stance. You remain in this stance until you spend 3 AP to end it or pick a new stance.
I
So,
guess the way that's worded makes it sound like it's continual. Um, though I would, as an MC, I'd be like, me, you would end up having to talk about how long this shit actually lasts.
I mean, you could almost go as far as to
Because
limit
I
it.
would say that once you start catching your breath, it would end,
Right.
right? Because you're not standing there in that stance anymore. Thanks for dropping this on me live. Make me really think about this.
I mean, it ends up being one of those things that we just have a conversation about, right?
Yeah.
Like if it comes up in, for the first time in character and we're like, all right, you know what? We're going to rule it this way. We'll talk about it afterwards. We'll come up with something. So here's my
I just
thought
told you how I
process.
would rule it.
Yeah.
It ends
Yeah.
when combat ends.
There's a particular stance that I'm looking at that lets you count as one size larger for the purposes of grappling and determining encumbrance. So for me, because it determines encumbrance too, can I activate that like first thing in the morning after waking up, being like, cool, I'm in this stance, and then I'm in that stance until I either deactivate it or switch to something else?
I don't know.
No.
I
Something we would have to talk about.
that is
The
definitely something
whole
to talk to
point
your
of this
MC about, guys.
character, yeah, talk to your MC. The whole point of this character that I have in mind is basically grappling somebody, flying into the air equal to my movement, and then power bombing them on the next turn
It would.
by either dropping them and I would probably just fly up and super just drop them to their death.
Mhm.
Or because now I don't take fall damage, can I
Just stop
just
moving.
yeah, I could just stop moving and just fall. I don't take fall damage. They would.
I had again. Um, I gotta think on that.
I could get away with it once.
You can get away with it for one character, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But expect them to get shot out of the sky.
I mean, yeah.
Um, because then I think about like what is stopping you from taking fall damage. It's the gliding action, right?
So I'll let go of them 5 feet above the ground and then glide for 5 feet down.
Right. So like that's how it ends up like
uh,
mechanically being,
yeah. Yeah.
right? So like it would probably be more effective to just drop them, especially as you count as one size larger. So you just and you're a pugilist, so punch, grab two people, fly up, let them go.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep. The absolute carnage.
I mean,
Absolute carnage.
as a dragon folk, I may even give you 3 if you use the tail.
Ooh. That's a
Because
lot of AP to spend, but
it's 6 AP to make attacks. We're talking about a level 15 character. So having 7 AP is not out of the question.
And a broken wing. Make a reflex save.
But to talk about something that you said, Klaus, could you imagine the random player character walking down the road still in Korean stance? Yes, I can. That's why I'm like questioning. I want to know.
Not me looking at what stance of crane is right now. Is there one?
It might just be talking in a generic sense.
Yeah. Yeah. But I can just imagine walking down the street just I see the point you're making, Klaus. That would be funny.
But yeah, sorry. As I'm digging through this to, this is not the pugilist video. This is the Dragon Folk video.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So the other build that I had, and it's just I kind of teased it a little bit. It is a dual flame blade wielding berserker.
I'm hold on. Say that again?
Dual flame blade wielding berserker.
That
There's
sounds like
not
a
a
lot of
crane.
damage.
There's not a
Yeah,
crane
there's
stance.
not, but still it's still funny. The idea is still there. But yeah, dual flame blade berserker
Mhm.
sounds like a lot of ouchies.
So I'm gonna focus on intellect and probably dexterity, or
I'm
fortitude.
listening. I'm
Berserker does
listening.
not require you to have strength.
I'm yes, this is true. I'm
Okay.
listening though.
The
It's
the
the
flame
intellect that
flame blade is based on intellect.
oh, okay.
Okay. I'm gonna take basic dual wield at level 1 and grab 2 flame blades because they're one-handed weapons. Level 2, grab berserker entries, more AP, more slashies. Eventually go down advanced dual wield so that they're now two. It's one attack for 2 AP, and then the rest of them for 1.
Ouchies.
As far as like what's good about this for my, like, why would I do this with the Dragon Folk?
Oh,
Flameborn
yeah,
for
because
that
it's a
fire
plus
affinity
3 per.
per hit.
Oh, buddy. That's a lot of threes.
1d6 plus intellect plus 3. Right. It's very strong. And
It's
since I'm
that solid
focusing,
plus 3.
yeah, just solid plus 3. Yeah, spicy mad blender. And because I am focusing endurance and intellect, I get an endurance flameborn endurance times per rest. That's gonna be as many times I
Yeah.
have combat. I'm gonna have uses of it when I go to bed. Almost most certainly, because I am focusing on having a lot of health for this character and stuff like that. I may even go as far as to, take the tough talent and replace my AR with my fortitude.
Yep.
Again, if I'm gonna go that route, I might do my leveling a little bit differently. Grab a leveling warrior so that I can grab advanced dual wield and stuff at the same time. Level 1, grab Flameborn, Level 5, probably cold blooded. I'm thinking either cold blooded or tail swipe.
Yeah.
I do want both of them on this build.
Tail swipe would be nice because you knock them prone first, and then
Give
just
myself TA
and then just proceed to chop them up hibachi style.
with flaming swords.
Yeah,
Um, and then at the same time, like I was looking at more fun things I could do with that. With the I would need to invest a little bit of strength for a tail swipe to work because it is a strength attack, no matter what, against their fortitude, which is of the 6 defenses that you can target. Fortitude is one of the stronger defenses for most creatures in
yeah.
Mythcraft. And when we get to the episode where we start to really dig into the defenses of Mythcraft, I do have charts.
That's
I
probably a good thing.
I do have charts about where things land and stuff like that. But that will be a math conversation for later because I, again, I have charts.
Yeah. The only thing I can think during most of that conversation was his Scoville level is over 9,000.
Because it will be. It absolutely
Yeah.
will be. Because
Also, why is it spicy?
and it will be spicy. I had thought about maybe a level of mage for enhanced weapon for an extra 1d6. An extra
No.
1d6.
Oh, that's
This
insane.
is why. This is why.
He's got too much time.
It's not that I have too much time. It's that I know the game very well. And even just spending 5 minutes of what is the best way to use these skills in a way that would allow me to do as much damage as possible. And it actually came up with the Affinity Flame Blade because that +3 is just strong.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
it is the average damage die, so it's extremely strong. For what I'm using, it's the average, roughly 3 to 3.5, whatever, right?
Well, and then taking advanced dual wield to get the many attacks is what's super important there. Because although you have not the highest damaging weapon, you're consistently for each one pumping out a D3 plus whatever your intelligence is, and then whatever you
Intellect.
roll on the dice.
Yeah.
Intellect.
Yeah. So, and you know, even if I do decide to take that level of mage, which would be if I'm just going with the full multi-class, how much damage can I pump into a single character? Right? It would be warrior, mage, berserker, rogue.
That extra AP would come in handy for sure.
Yeah, and then I would just pump rogue. I don't know which class track I would pump, but I'm gonna grab that sneak attack because I'm already giving myself TA, with throwing them on the ground.
Oh no.
And
You're gonna end up making a character. It's like when you go to like a gas station and take a cup and you just get all the sodas in one cup. That's gonna
no, because I would probably stick to those 4, and it's only a light flavoring of the first 3. Most of it will be me jumping around the rogue tracks for more sneak attack damage.
So you're mixing Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, Sunkissed, and Mellow Yellow all in one. Not even Sprite. It's Mellow Yellow.
With lots of the Millie Yellow, apparently.
Taking notes.
But again, this was just like one of my very particular builds, guys. Like, this was just something that I thought was an interesting idea for me to do, just like we did with the Brunei last week. We did one that was kind of more magically inclined, and one that was more weapon usey. I decided I wanted to do both of that with what I could see out of the Dragonfolk set. Though Dragonfolk definitely, like, that affinity fire is just so strong.
Yeah, that's the super that's almost like a must take when it comes to Dragon Folk.
I mean, I
You
could,
don't have to. You can still get away without using it.
yeah.
But the pros the benefits that you get from it make it very likable.
And it's very unassuming when you look at it because you don't realize it just says, um,
Yeah, if you don't know what affinity really is,
mm,
then you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. Maybe I'll take that later. But then you realize that you could take it super early on, and
mm,
you're gonna have some like smooth as butter encounters,
mm.
unless your DM is a jerk or
You're
your
gonna
MC
get
is a jerk,
you're gonna be the star of the damage show,
for sure.
especially early game before a lot of other places or a lot of, because this is lineage based, so you could do this at level 1. Uh, before everyone's classes get online, before people start having damage boosts from classes or other talents, this is a very fast way to get affinity for fire. That being said, talk to your MC. Let them know that you're going to be bringing a damage dealer. You know,
Yes, that is the right thing to do. You should definitely talk to your DM about what you're going to bring to the table. No surprises. Clear everything first.
okay, I didn't say clear everything first. I said tell them you're bringing a damage dealer, Dragonfolk, and then when they look at your character sheet and it's like, why do you have, why is your max stat intellect and fortitude? Fortitude makes sense. Why max intellect? Then you can go ahead and surprise them. That I've
Let
done
me cook. Literally.
multiple times. But
I would be a chef. I would take chef as a profession
yeah, that would be
just
fun.
just for the memes. I forget which one it's under.
It's not the in the basic rules.
Is it not?
No, that is one of the add-ons.
Okay. But yeah, for sure. Just for memes.
Yep.
Literally bringing them to the hibachi all
Yep.
day long.
All day long. Everything is my hibachi. I cook it as I cut it.
Yep.
I'm going full dual wielding lightsabers here. Sorry, fire swords.
Yeah, flame blades.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all we got for Dragon Folk tonight. Does anybody have any questions? We'll be happy to answer them. Exactly.
Yeah. Klaus. I mean, who better to take care of everyone than the big buff Dragonfolk?
Still smaller than Usuri, though.
No, yeah,
Probably older than Usuri, though.
probably. Probably a better cook than Yusiri as well.
Yeah, probably. I feel like Usuri like makes ramen.
I think he would be lucky to get the ramen right.
I think he just puts hot water in a package of hard noodles with a flavor packet and calls it ramen.
Probably. Or just goes and buys it or steals it.
I've never stolen a meal before. That would be beneath Usuri to do. He would
Probably
pay
accurate.
good money.
Probably accurate.
He's got a moral compass. It might dip one way or another here and there, but for good reasons.
This man has set more fires than the dragon folk we're talking about.
That's not true. I didn't start that fire. I had someone start that fire. There's a
Same thing.
difference.
All right.
Warm
Well,
vodka in the noodles. Yep.
um, I do think that I was trying to give people some time to type out any questions that they got or anything like that. But I think that is everything we have for today. And if you want to see how Dragon Folk work in our game, you can check out our actual play podcast, Tales of Yvard. We've been kind of memeing on it a little bit tonight. Don't look at me like that. There have been Dragon Folk in the game.
There has. Trust me, I know.
All right. And let us know what topics or what lineage specifically you guys would like us to cover next in the comments below. Later.
See you guys. Y'all have a good one.